Good evening and welcome to the special long form episode of Film and TV News. I am about to tell you something what's gonna happening of the film and TV yesterday. There's a reason the reason why the in recent events of the that happening. Including the new movies that came out, we got a lot of disappointments. A big, bold, beautiful journey, and Jodie Beer produced him movie are the complete disappointment. But I think the next couple of films will be coming over in the next couple of weeks, including new Paul Thomas Anderson movies. So I don't even pretty much the other remind will become sort of the problem on the entertainment industry lately. So we could talk about the company film and TV news, and the last two would be saved. Last few ones would be saved of a completely different uh, show on my channel, Amazon MGM News. So talk about early this morning. Today, first off, this is from Reality with the new heard the Contrarian writers Chad and Gracie Casey Haynes making a directorial debut with Train Francis O'Connor to star. Now, this is behind the Contrary franchise, the first two more specifically. He was best known. He got an eye with by producers Peter Safran and James Wan. And I brought a little reminder. I would talk about Peter Safran in you probably call a new segment what I call hashtag in Peter Safran we trust news. So we'll talk about in a second. Anyway, whoever responsible horror franchise has been for a lot working with Mr. Safran and Wan, but eventually probably Mangal to make a directorial debut ourselves, making a writer and director. So this is from Variety. Chad and Casey Haynes, the writer team behind the Contrarian, are making the first foray in the directing with a further train, which will star Francis O'Connor. The project reunited with Hinge brothers with O'Connor, who appear in the Contrarian 2 as a Peyton Hodgson. The Hayes duo first created the Contrarian film that launched what will become the top earning horror franchise in the film history. Now, the recent the country films where a pop film was gone profit in the box office, but unfortunately got overtaken by the recent Demon Slayer movie. And I probably know that anime fans don't know what the hell this is. But it also annoying that the writers of the another country the country movie that's not related to Chadwick Casey Haynes was working on another movie related to Annabelle Horror from Amazon HEM with David S. Sandberg with directing and of course Peter Savard producing. And again, I will talk about the hashtag in Peter Savard Trust topic in a moment. But anyway, Lake Norfield and then Michelle Kuhn are producing through the banner Prompt Studios. The Australian company recently debuted Beast of War at the Melbourne International Film Festival, and with the film subsequently screening at Fantastic Fest in Austin. We are thrilled to be making our directorial debut with the Train in partnership with the incredible team at the Brontet Studios. The Hayes brothers said in the statement, "After years of writing, developing, and living inside industry, um, we're excited to finally put in our experience behind the camera. This story has everything we love about our genre, and I can't wait to bring this one to life." Producers No Fear and Kroom, adding the Haynes brothers, are known worldwide as the creators of some of the most successful horror films in history. The country, of course. Now it's their turn to direct. We're beyond the thrill to producing their directorial debut, and we're incredibly excited to have Francis O'Connor cast. We're looking forward to introduce this film to the marketplace. O'Connor's previous work, including The Missing, with Ron Howard's film, the AI Artificial Intelligence was a film that the Steven Spielberg was a direct after Stanley Kubrick's passing, and The Contrarian too. The latter two was co-distributed with Warner Brothers, of course. Yeah, addition, casting, and production information will be revealed at a later date. Project Studios developed to produce the features across multiple genres. So yeah, I think this is more like a direction. This is more like a more like a new like that. More the filmmaking genre driven thing that one day appeared. And for the writers of the first two the Contrarian films were appeared to more like a direction. And I think maybe someday if Peter Safran or James Wan might be excited to produce of that project, but I wouldn't know this is going to be what happening soon, so we'll wait and see what happens. So there's that. Or maybe I'm wondering Warner Bros. Might distribute this film in the Australian market or some overseas, but who knows? We'll see what happens. But speaking of Peter Safran and of course Warner Brothers, it's time for the news segment I would call hashtag in Peter Safran we trust news. So. If you know, New Line Cinema was a subsidiary of Warner Bros. Pictures, acquired a rom-com spec for the writers Sal Goldberg and Arno Nogueira. The latter was the team behind from the DC Studios that Peter Safran was involved as a co-head with James Gunn, and James O'Reilly adding to direct. So, and this is going to be a more interesting one. Now, James O'Reilly, who more known from the last film called "I Want You Back," stars Charlie Day and Jeannie Slate, and even a special glorified cameo by Pete Davidson, no less. And this is from the last film from the Amazon Studios. Before we changed to and at the time when the Amazon bought NGM, where the studio was probably got a lot of problems. NGM had a lot of problems. The recent James Bond film, No Time to Die, was pretty model movie the final send off of Daniel Craig's Bond era, and even a release in pandemic. But I think this because the company Amazon bought NGM, and at the time he called it Amazon Studios. But now he decided to merge together in a year later with the Amazon NGM Studios, and as of today. But this one is going to be a different studio. Instead of Amazon NGM Studios, they have Unite Cinema, a subsidiary of Warner Brothers Pictures. Now, this is going to be a more like a rom-com film, that not like it did the last film, I Want You Back. I'm not sure this is going to be a new direction. And I mean, back in the day, the year of Leah Saffron was gone huge. They got the Monkey movie, was gone to Sex and Limited release from Neon. There's a Head of States movie, was released on Prime Video, was gone huge to Sex. And then a couple of Warner Brothers films like James Gunn's Superman movie was a kickstart the DCU, and the Contrarian film with possibly a final Contrarian film, and more like different projects with Onborg and the TV spinoff of the TV series spinoff of the Contrarian film series will be on HBO Max, as well as the David Ann Sandberg's the Peter Safran's old buddy who got reunited after Shazam 2 debacle was the remake after mentioned the Amityville horror movie for Amazon NGM Studios, but that's for what PSR are producing and the writers of the Contrarian Last Right movie. So I probably will see what happens, but I think that this is going to be a big year from Peter Safran. Now, unlike say, this is a different kind of genre producer. This is a Jason Blum or Rowley. Oh, this is make no sense. Well, I know Peter Safran was the most important producer at all the time. He's a genre producer. Unlike Roy Lee and especially Jason Blum, it's not related to like controversial person. That's like he's a more like an it's he was a more than I'm pretty much on seen on the internet lately and more like a YouTube videos. Like I know Peter Safran was a terrible producer. He making more over the top genre films, but yeah, I disagree because I know that many on the YouTube channels like Nerdtronic or Geeks and Gamers or Glovefish TV and etc. along others, many people heard this like, oh, this the Warner Brothers is going to financial was an Fetty company because of box office success was pretty much dead by Warner Brothers, David Zaslav. But yeah, you know what? I would say I trust Peter Safran that unlike any other genre producers. And yes, I would not talk about Zack Snyder because he's a hack. So keep Kobe Snyder cultist. But I think the reason that James Gunn is a better filmmaker than Hack Snyder, if you call that. But I think that pretty much and since James Gunn's Superman movie was successful, the pretty much better the box office than Man of Steel. And again, I would talk about that in the moment, but I want to talk about that New Line Cinema, where we acquired the spec script up from the writers, including Seth Goldberg and Anne Furena. So, New Line Cinema has acquired as a rom-com spec from the writers Seth Goldberg and Anna Noguera from with the James O'Reilly on the back movie, Attention to Red, That Night Has Learned. A blog details from the film, currently the Untitled Baby Love project are under wraps. Peter Safran, John Rickall, and Ad Socks. What the hell is that? I don't know what this word is. Um, which serves as the producers. All the previous collab with the Safran on I Want You Back on a rom-com starring Johnny Day and Ginny Slate, where that premiered on the Prime Video in 2022. And that, yeah, this is from came from this again. This is since that Amazon bought NGM and this still we're calling Amazon Studios and then changed to and then merged together and known as Amazon into you know the rest. And he made the directorial debut with the Big Time Enesis, which premiered in the dramatic competition at the 2019's Sundance Film Festival. And that the name sounds familiar. That's led by the late great Robert Redford. Rest in peace. Released through Neon before making its way to Hulu. Orlean also directed 6 episodes of Pete Davidson's Peacock series Poopkies, including the pilot, served as a writer and producer alongside Roland Michaels and his Broadway video. And he's the same company producing Saturday Night Live. Ollie has developed projects across Disney, Lionsgate, Universal, Paramount, Hulu, Star, TNT, and CBS, collaborating with the producers including Seth Rogen and Edward Goldberg, Daryl Waller, and whatever, Greg Daniels, Jay Roach, Sean Levy for 61 Labs Entertainment for, I don't know, 31 Labs, Joe Porton, Joe Weissman, and John Davis. Um, Goldberg hosted the first look development deal at 20 TV, has written award-winning series Only Murders in the Building from Hulu and The Marvelous Miss Marple from Prime Video. And that realized that the star of the show, Rachel Brosnahan, would later go on to star as Lois Lane in the DCU from James Gunn's Superman movie that Peter Safran producing, of course, as well as an Apple This Week Next Door starring Will Ferrell and Paul Rudd. As an actor, he's recently appeared in the series And Just Like That from HBO Max and Life in Bed from Hulu, as well as the Southeast South way South by Southwest premiere Indie A Nice Indian Boy. Um, Noguera wrote the screenplay for the upcoming Supergirl movie for DC Studios, which has since had tapped her to the pen of the Wonder Woman reboot, as well as a live-action Teen Titans movie. He wrote and starred in the South by Southwest short We Win, and his playwright behind Which Way to the Stage, MFC, and Imprex. Now into the director as a feature for the Blanty Productions. As an actor, he's appeared as the star's Hometown and has appeared in the CW's The Vampire Diaries, and you probably on air on CW back when Warner Brothers was owning, the Michael J. Fox Show, and the Blacklist. So I know one of the writers from the couple with DC Studios project is going on to making a rom-com from New Line Cinema since you got a connection with Peter Safran. So I'm more interested to see where casting choices. Please don't ever cast Pete Davidson. I swear to God. But we will see what happens. Peter Safran was pretty much going to become the most profitable film producer of all time. Then Rowley and especially Peter Safran. Yeah, I know Rowley had a couple of huge films from Warner Brothers and and like the Minecraft movie, Cobranian, Weapons, and even the non Warner Bros. Films like the David S. Sandberg's Until Dawn movie adaptation. It was based on a video game, and Steven Spielberg's The Long Walk. So from Lionsgate, and a lot all the both of which was come from Sony Pictures through Screen Gems later label and Lionsgate, of course. So I hope to see what happens. But and when we're talking about Warner Brothers, and I will just talk about during the subsidiary of Warner Bros. I want to talk about the biggest surprise. Warner Bros. Features slate to release Filapiki into band by Toho Tawa Group beginning in 2026. This is a big, huge news in the Japanese film market that Warner Bros. Was known working with the between Toho and Tawa Group were more known in working with the Warner Bros. Were actually working in Godzilla movies in collaboration with Toho. He was a distributor in only in Japan. But since the period film, the recent Godzilla Zero One, I don't know what the prequel Godzilla movie was from success, he decided Warner Bros. Signed a licensing deal with a Japanese film company, Toho Tawa Group, in distribute. The latter was a Tawa Pictures, was a theatrical distribution in the Japanese market. So this is from Deadline again. Warner Bros. Motion Group has entered the license agreement with Japan's Toho Tawa Group, which will see the latter Taiwan Pictures subsidiary handle theatrical distribution of the Warner Bros. Slate of the Hollywood features in Japan. The multi-year pack begins in 2026, kicking off with the Emerald Bros. Winter Heights. That's not even based on the Kate Bush song that pretty much related to running out of the hill, was previously seen on Stranger Things season 4, that you heard the song. The deal effect that means the Warner's theatrical distribution apparatus in the Japan will be dismayed with the current team members who support marketing and distribution transporting responsibility to Toho Tower for the next over the next several months. The agreement was understood only to appear to the theatrical business in Japan, with the local office maintain marketing and distribution functions for streaming, live events, and home entertainment. The shift to the sub-distribution model in Japan, the market has become more challenging for Hollywood to initiate over the past several years, given to the strength of the homegrown product, is not dissimilar to operator's model imported locally by studios like Paramount and Universal. This approach is designed to allow WB to relocate resource more effectively, capitalize on the local market partners, and a better position English language content in the American theatrical marketplace. Warner Bros. Has co-distributed with Toho before in Japan, not only in a contractual manner. Toho handled the Japanese distribution from the um, literary MonsterVerse movies, working closely with the Warner Bros. Distribution and the marketing team. Now, that's pretty much more the more Japanese audience that pretty much the literary MonsterVerse movies, pretty much, including Godzilla. But even the recent non-MonsterVerse movie, Godzilla Breaker movie, was released in Japan, was got a lot of attention. So Warner has been long been the active local production in Japan. We understand marketing and distribution for the six titles on the its coming 2026 and 2027 slate. We live on site in the Toho Tower agreement, said Warner Brothers Jim Goldstein, president of the global distribution. As Warner Brothers continue to strengthen the global business, theatrical business, we look forward to entering the licensing agreement with Toho Tower Group, best-in-class teams who expert in the Japanese market will complement the studio, extending marketing and distribution operations around the world. Toho and Tawa President, CEO, and President Pictures CEO and President Toshiya Matsushaki commented, "We are delighted to announce our new partnership with the Search and the streaming and content company. It is both an honor and a privilege to collab with the organizers of the statue, whose legacy and achievement having set the benchmark in the industry. We look forward to working closely together to liberate our respective strengths to create meaningful value for the constituents, partners, and communications. The deal was initiated by Ted Lim on behalf of the Warner Bros. Motion Pictures Group and Toshisi Masaaki on behalf of the Toho Tower Group. Warner Bros. Discovery's Japan entertainment business, including the streaming platform in partnership with Unext, the Warner Bros. Studio Tokyo. I'm pretty much familiar. Yeah, I know this isn't technically was a theme park, but he's also had in Spain. The Warner Brothers Movie World in Madrid. I don't know what Warner Madrid if you call that, but it's all over Spain. But it also the partnership deal with theme park licensing partnership agreement with Six Flags, but as anime production, consumer products, content licensing, home entertainment, and a linear TV joint venture with JCOM. So I know the Japanese audience will be excited for the new era for Warner Brothers and especially Toho and Tawa. We're bringing in mostly familiar with companies like Paramount and Universal, and of course Disney and Sony Pictures. But I already know this is going to be a major Japanese market, and I know this is related to the A24 was signed an agreement with the Mini Happiness Film Company with a mini majors for focusing distribute A24's film in the Japanese market. So that's what you know. So I will really see what happens in next year with the Emir Perez Wuthering Heights movie. So over to the next topic, which go on the team behind Chris Drop, as was in other Blumhouse movies, where nobody cares about. Chris Roach and Julian Jacobs, along with Christopher Landon, along the people at Brethren Dunes, Brad Fuller, Cameron Fuller, and Michael freaking Bay were on board to making the Netflix thriller Blink of an Eye. This is I haven't seen the drop yet, but I'm gonna watch on Prime Video or Netflix. But this movies came out the year when I think I haven't seen the last couple of films behind the same writing team. Another film called um, Through the Dare and the Fantasy Island. All of both were Blumhouse, and this is starring Lucy Hare for all places. I didn't get that anyway, but I think this pretty much this is going to be more direction. And I know this supposedly co-produced with Universal Pictures and Blumhouse, but that never could vision. But even Blumhouse would co-produce. So anyway, here's more news from report for Deadline. Netflix is a pretty great acquired Bring It Alive, the thriller's spec script by the husband and the wife writing team of Chris Roach and Gillian Jacobs. The plot details and on the wraps. The picture pick was is a based on the story by Christopher Landert, who is attached to Red and will produce alongside, of course, Brad Fuller, Cameron Fuller, and Michael Bay of Battle of Dunes. The project was united the team behind Drop, the Hitchcockian thriller starring Megan Hand and Franny and Brandon Skeeter that hits theaters in April. Roten Jacobs Drop stars Fairly, that the winter single mother who first stayed in the skyscraper's um, restaurant that goes terribly wrong when another is dropped under her cell forms on for her into the deadly game threat that everyone she loves. Now I know the reason that the recent Final Destination Bloodlines movie we came out is pretty much familiar with the skyscraper's problem and this familiar, and I think this is related to that in opening first act in the movie. Now, if you've seen that movie, you're not familiar with that. So, produced by Blumhouse and Platinum Dooms, the films got a strong reviews in its South by Southwest premiere, but before releasing through Universal Pictures. Prior to drop, Roten Jacobs wrote Sony's Fantasy Island and Blumhouse Through the Dare, all both of which are from Blumhouse, and this is and I think and the latter one was pretty much, and the third one was count was a Magic 8 Ball from Blumhouse. This is actually from Mattel, co-produced with Mattel Studios, and I think like I said, this Fantasy Island and Through the Dare are mediocre best. That was trash. I mean, the latter was released before the begin of the pandemic. was pretty much disappointment. Like I know this both starring Lucy Hare for all places. What the heck? Anyway, brought to his partnership with Jacob Roach. Roach worked nonstop with Liam Neeson from Universal, so that's more like the Die Hard ripoff. So I'm not even. I'm not even continuous streams of the Die Hard ripoff. So it's like watching like Passenger 46 type way. And in addition to Drop, Lando is known for directing the Happy Day films, the Vince Vaughn and Katie Noonan slasher Freaky, and the Netflix We Have a Ghost. Also, recent producing and writing of the Screen Gems Hot Eyes was co-produced with Sky Glass Media Group, and in fact, I know that Sony Pictures they handle some international, some U.S. and Canada, while and Paramount Pictures for newly relaunched Republic Pictures will handle the international distribution. So in select countries. So I think this is pretty much. I saw that this is probably also the first look you can show a new logo. So that's a new was a longer version. So yeah, I will upload on YouTube. So behind franchise like The Quiet Place and The Purge, the Predator Rooms recent credits in addition in the drop, including The Quiet Place Day One, Rosemary's Babies prequel Apollo 71, starring Junior Garner. It was released on Paramount Plus, of course, and Forever Purge. I know this is going to be more like direct. Like this is not going to be horror type way, but this is going to be more thriller. Like it's pretty younger cast, and I know that the Housemaid movie was kind of similar. Like say stars Amanda Seyfried and Cindy Sweetie, but then I'm not even compare that. But this is more like a direction. So and this movie is going to be a matter that works were reminded to be distributed by Universal instead for Netflix. Speaking of Universal, Joseph Kosinski, were hot off the success of Telecom Metric and one of the biggest blockbuster hits of all time of this year, on board to direct of the next film, Miami Vice movie. So this is a reboot, and this is a original 2006 movie, was directed by um, come on, Mike Mann and stars Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx, and was going to receive okay reviews. And I think that movie was pretty much released. Movie studios was pretty much Mike Mann's career was pretty much after like a say Heat, if you call it, and the second film was on the way from Warner Brothers, but. And this is from Hollywood Reporter. Joseph Kosinski's Miami Vice movie lands in August 2027 release date, casting on the way. The much in demand director is making a film for Universal Pictures, who will begin shooting next year. Director Joseph Casey's Miami Vice movie is a go. Universal Pictures event pick will be hit theaters in August 6, 2027, with the studio announced this Wednesday, yesterday, or actually 2 days ago. I'm not sure. Well, actually yesterday. Casting was on the way with the shooting set in the beginning next year. Kuczynski, who is hot up coming off of a directing back-to-back blockbusters F1 the movie from Warner Brothers and Taika from Paramount Skydance, was coincident enough that Paramount Skydance is now only becoming the company now. So good timing. We explored the glamour and corrupted of the mid-80s Miami in the new version of Miami Vice, inspired by the pilot episode and the first season of the landmark TV series that influenced culture and set of the style of everything from fashion and filmmaking. Now, if you don't know, Miami Vice is a TV series with supporting stars Don Johnson. It's was begun the breakthrough role. Like unlike say before Baywatch and even Knight Rider after that. That's pretty much the more popular show in the popular era of the 80s Land Park. And that's pretty much their work preferred is pretty much their set in Miami. And this is from Universal Television Studios. And I think this is pretty much the capitalize were on success. Even the recent 2006 movie with directed by Michael Ben and again starring Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx that pretty much appeared into more companies almost related to the 2006 uh, between the style of the more modern day, a la Heat, since Mike Man's directing. But this one is going to be a reboot, and I know before that I want to talk about mention that. The Miami Vice President was appearing in the last year's The Fall Guy movie, another movie adaptation of a TV series, which stars directed by David Lynch, stars Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. I spelled the Barbenheimer in the search. And that's pretty much the uploading. You can see that the song in the theme song in the background was a like Nino drop thing, but I'm not sure the producers of that movie project was editing this project, so yeah, that's what you know. But anyway, back to what I was saying. That the reboot is taking a new direction, more like in a more the 80s style type way. So let's continue. Krasinski will be filmed from the movie from IMAX, much as he did with the F1 and the Top Gun Maverick, in order to enhance the slide of the sounds of the iconic series. Um, and I think the director photographer Claudio Miranda will might be director for the rest of these projects, the F1 and Top Gun Maverick, of course. Miami Vice began live as Anthony Yerkovich created TV series, stars Don Johnson and Philip Thomas, Michael Thomas, as two undercover Miami police officers known for their love of the passenger suits. The ambition of the show was to break through for everything that had before. Series executive produced Mikey Mann told the Hollywood Reporter last year's of the series ran of the 1984 and 1990 on ABC, and Jamie Foxx and the Colin Farrell starred in the 2006 feature of the same name that Man direct was, which earned the $163.7 million globally. The film was is produced by the Dylan Clark from the Batman thing, and yes, this movie came out the same year. And this movie is released. It came out the same year, 2027, was a sequel of the Batman movie that Matt Reeves is working on. So, and Krasinski's and written by Dan Gilroy and Eric Singer. Um, if you don't know, Dan Gilroy who been a writer and a director for quite some time, who did the first two films from Morgan Creek, if you've seen the Rise and Fall of Morgan Creek over on SC Meterworks YouTube channel. Wolverine Minot, the Free Jack in Chasers was become mediocre at best, and two of them up for the money. And again, this is the new this is the last project that I'm working with Morgan Creek that James J James Jonathan Johnson, I don't know. I know working for him for quite some time. He was been for a relationship. Then eventually made Real Stiff, the Sean Levy's Hugh Jackman starred film. But the Lone Legacy was pretty much mediocre at best, but it stars Jenny Renner as take over as Matt Damon's role at Jason Bourne, but this is not a canon. Like this is a more like reboot, but heck, it still works. And then I ventured to their directorial debut with Nightcrawler, was gone critical acclaim, and even in Jake Gyllenhaal performance was gone. And as well as gone, the story writer of the Con Skull Island was part of the Monsterverse, and then they make a recent two films that not the capitalized success of the Nightcrawler movie. Roy J. Ismail, esque, what the heck this stars Denzel Washington and Vincent Buzzsaw were reunited with the old friend Jake Gyllenhaal. And also, Anto series was led by my good buddy, not good buddy, was her brother Tony Gilroy. So I think this is an Andor series, which will air on Disney Plus, was a spinoff of Star Wars. So this, no, like you say, this is more the different direction, but this is more the and I don't know what the Eric Singer is, but this is I think the pretty much you check on Wikipedia. But this is going to be amazing. So Dan Gilroy was probably known from for credits. You've seen a few credits, including the recent Nightcrawler movie. So there's that. The base layer character is created by Yukonish. Krasinski has a kicking the ties of on the project since last year, working with a longtime collaborator singer to deliver the project. Kosinski is also the top direct of UFO's Kosinski figure that Apple won the Billboard in March. It's a movie sequel to Documentary. And I'm going to talk about first. This is might be going to be might be distributed for Warner Brothers like they with F1, but hey, it might be happening. And the latter one, this is the time when the Paramount and Skydance merger was completed deal, but in the time when it was happening. So yeah. Um, Taga Metric turned Kosuski into the most in-demand filmmakers in town that directing features such as The Oblivion and Tron Legacy. I know, yeah, he turned down to the third Tron movie because of creative deficits, and especially in hot off the success of Metric. And heck, even the casting choices by this weirdo actor named Jared Leto. Eesh. Released in the summer 2022, the Dugout metric exceeded expectations in the grossing $1.5 billion at the worldwide box office for Paramount Pictures and David Ellison's Skydance, and in the time since Ellison's fought a long battle to buy Paramount, he succeeded with the merger closing early last month. And the press briefing in August 13 was month. Ellison called Top Gun 3 at the top priority at the studio and said he would be on Taku's business as long as the A-list star with whom has had made the 10 films in Ellison's former life at Skydance wanted to tell stories with him. Yeah, I know this is came like a this is Top Gun Ring was going to be a tribute to Tom Cruise co-star of the first two movies. The latter the second was pretty much the final set off for Top. Val Kilmer was Mal Kilmer, who's recently passed away by due to health reasons I frequently talk about. So this is going to be a tribute like type way. So if Top Gun 3 was going to be more like a new direction, this is going to be a more interesting one. And yes, I know it made us see twice, but I'm scared this. Top Scorsese is scheduled to return to direct the Top Gun prequel, but the project is now a ways away to hitting screens like in the light of the Miami Vice news. This summer's Apple original films F1 was the biggest surprise and performance at the box office to date. The Formula One has grossed north of the $623 million globally and even pulled ahead of DC Studios and Warner Bros. Superman at a $6.15 million. Warner's also released and helped market F1 on behalf of Apple. I said before. But again, I know that I forgot to mention that this is pretty much the many people, oh, this James Gunn Superman movie is a failure. DCU is over. Look, I know this Snyder cultist, like, oh, DCU is still, hey, let's restore this now. No, it's not going to happen. Snyder's is dead. And I think James Gunn DCU has already started. By the way, this is not my channel. That's a different channel. One of the anti-Snyder guys channel. Go subscribe. I haven't uploaded for quite some time, but we'll see. But to me, James Gunn's Superman movie is a box office success, and that proved to helping Warner Bros. Revitalize the film studio. But unlike, say, Rebel Crap movies on Netflix, from director Zack Snyder, I think there's reason that the Warner Brothers need to improve the film industry. And I want to mention that K-pop Demon Hunters will also improve Netflix in it to squeeze subscribers. I love the K-pop Demon Hunters has become the turning point of cinema, but mostly a K-pop audience. So yeah, I think that Warner Brothers will big year. That's Warner will be a surprise big year for Warner Brothers that year, and we might be beat Disney by anytime soon. But as for that, my advice movie was going to be more different direction, like did with the 80s and even the 2006 movie. But this is more like a new direction of that Joseph Kosinski's direction. If Fernando Miranda might be director of photograph with a new direction, who knows? But if you know, I hope to see what happens. So but now let's on to the final story where we take a break. Is Star Wars Starfighter's first look picture that Sean Levy, director of the movie, posts Ryan Gosling image from the Militaria C set. That's right. This is a stars the movie Star Wars Starfighter movie starring Ryan Kennedy Gosling as as the role I probably mentioned that. It's going to be more in more different direction than did with the Disney Star Wars ones, like between Star Wars 5, 1 to 5, or whatever the heck this is, from the Star Walker saga. I blamed Kathy Kennedy was becoming the most hated film excited of all time, and I think the most in toxic fandom. Like Star Wars, the Disney Star Wars fandom was more mediocre best, and I think he's pretty much just fired Gina Carano because he got recent settlement lawsuit settlement. So, and again, check out Studiojake made a video about the topic in this question. But still, Sean Levy, director of the Star Wars Starfire movie, posted on the Instagram page the early look of his Lucasfilm title movie with Ryan Gosling and actor Flynn Gray on the set of the Military Sea. Somewhere in the Military Sea, hashtag Starfire, the Deadpool and Wolverine filmmaker wrote on his Instagram. Matt Spitt, Mia Goth, Aaron Pierre, Simon Bird, Jamie Westman, Daniel Ankers, and Amy Adams are starring opposite Gosling in the movie penned by Jonathan Troop. I'm not talking about Troop. Um, I'm not talking about that the super troop like type way, but this is more different. Like and mostly this is related to sort of like pictures. Anyway, that's the way to see it in the part two. As for previous reporting, Starfire isn't a part of the Scott Walker saga episodes 1 to 6, 5, or whatever the heck it is. That said, the movie was set 5 years after the events of the Star Wars: The Rise of Scott Walker. The film was set in the theaters in May 28, 2027. Levy produced through the um, 24 Labs Entertainment. That's right, and produced with the Lucasfilm boss and Gabor Hebos, Kathy Kennedy. Executive produced by R. Gosling, Dan Levine, Mary Lake Rand, and Johnson McLeod, respectively. The next Star Wars film movie is Marigold and Guru, set in the Memorial Day weekend before next year, released next year, May 22. Disney already owns the domestic box office opening record for this past summer's Lilo and Stitch, will ball into the $146 million, and the only MPA movie year to date to cost $1 billion of at the global box office, beating out a Minecraft movie, of course. 2050's Star Wars Force Awakens hold the fourth highest opening at the domestic box office at $247.9 million, and in fifth highest worldwide of the $528.9 million, and on the basis of the conditions for relations and invitations. 2017's Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Yes, that's right. The movie killed the franchise for obvious reasons, led by Ryan Goddamn Johnson. Ranks the 10th among the global openings at the $450.8 million. That made no sense, but it's still highest. And with 2019 Star Wars: The Rise of Star Walker, yes, they came on the same week as in Cats live action musical movie that are hating us. That remind me watching Sonic the Hedgehog teaser trailer again. Ranks at number 27 over the third $73.5 million in the global debut. That's not as good as The Last Jedi, but it still works. So, what I learned about the new Star Wars movie was gonna be not gonna be suck. Yes, it was, but this is a new Star Wars movie, was especially Mandalorian and Groot movie was coming in a months away. This is more a new direction of Star Wars, and especially the Lucasfilm in particular. And as I mentioned, Kathy Kennedy is might be the most hated media executive of all time, up there with Michael Eisner and especially and David Zaslav, and I'm not talking about David Zaslav. I trust David Zaslav. Yeah, I know that he's a hated media executive, but he's literally killing Warner Bros. Company when a complete erase on cartoons and a tax write-off for couple films like Cody versus Acne and Batgirl. But this did not. I mean, Kathy Kennedy was pretty much mediocre. He hates it. I mean, Gina Carano was fired, like I mentioned. He's from fired many years ago, and now you got a lawsuit, got a lawsuit, and then settlement for no reason. So I hope the Star Wars Starfires will be good, but better. It gonna be not sucked. Even though that's what the year after the new Star Wars movie was starring alongside Sigourney Weaver. So if this movie's gonna be good, yes, it was. But is Ryan Gosling was gonna be in it at Hollywood Sussex, All Bobby, and Project Hail Mary? Yes. But its movie is going to be more not as good as the Star Walker saga and the prequel solo A Star Wars story. Yes, it was, but kind of. But hoping to see what happens in 2027. But I hope this came out to this movie is not going to be sucked. But this is more important. The cinema point that movie was going to be different. And I hope to see what happens. So if Star Wars Starfighter movie is going to be better than the Star Walker saga and the Solo a Star Wars story, or Rogue One a Star Wars story too, we'll see what happens. But as for me, as once been one cent, Star Wars will be all the Kenichi fans myself. So that's the video for today. That's the part two. See you when you come back. Like, comment, subscribe. See you later.